This is Natalie Rolls, and you are listening to the Bill Podcast. Presented by Patrick Stratford. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, gibconsultancy.co.uk, and mcr-seo.com.
Welcome back to my interview with Lucy Speed and Sally Rogers. This time we'll be talking about everything from co-stars, guest actors and ferrets. Plus, Lucy and Sally discuss the Bill's move to 9pm, the perils of HD and their reaction to the series being axed. We hope you enjoy the podcast.
Got to be bored of us by now.
Oh no, I could do this all day. How similar would you say was the Lucy Speed of 2008 to Stevie Moss?
Pretty similar.
Really?
I think in that time I was happy to be there. Stevie was always kind of really happy and energetic. She liked to laugh.
You're not
I think she
fazed
was
by
quite
much,
close.
are you? And that whole fighter thing.
Yeah.
I think.
She was probably the closest character I've played to myself, I think. Particularly of that time, yeah.
I mean, I love that first episode where you come in and you're very enthusiastic, and you've got the other characters kind of just sort of looking at each other and
Yeah. And I always used to run in heels. I was like, you've got to give me heeled boots, not massive heeled boots, but at that time I could wear heels. And being short, I was like, I've got to wear heels. And I took it upon myself to prove to them that I could sprint in heels. And at one point, Reza, one of our directors, went, "You got there before the car. Don't run so quick." Oh, God.
Really? Really?
I just remember Cagney and Lacey, and I did campaign to have a handbag, but they wouldn't let me have that. Cagney and Lacey were my heroes, and they used to run in heels. They had handbags, everything, didn't they? They get their guns in their handbags. I said, "Well, I would have a handbag." They were like, "No." Anyway, I won on the heels bit, but I think that was because I was so short and the boys were so tall.
And what was an average day of working on production of the Bill?
Well, we'd all get into makeup, we'd all chat and across the makeup room, wouldn't we?
I mean, the makeup room was huge, wasn't it? So, because if they were filming 3 episodes at one time, you could have 15 actors in there, more.
And normally, if you had one of your guest actors there, you'd go in and say, "Hi, oh, hello, I'm Lucy who plays Stevie," or whatever, and then we'd all sit and take the mick out of each other from different areas of the getting our makeup done.
Yeah. And then there was always a resentment about getting into costume.
Oh,
so
yeah.
something you put off, ugly, wasn't it? So
I
we
was
weren't exactly in corsets.
I was always concerned about having another breakfast because I was like, "We'll need another breakfast," or the hungover.
Battling the start of the morning, yeah.
I met my husband while I was on the Bill, so I was courting. So I hadn't been used to going out in the evenings and doing a full day's work. But we had a boss who was, if we went out to do's, we all stayed together. We were all happy hanging out together, and he would literally go to us, "Don't go yet, don't go yet." And he'd be like, "I've got to go in the morning. I'm in the chair at 7
He
a.m.
wouldn't have that early start, would he?
And he'd be like, "You have this shot and then you can go." And we were like, "Well, you're the boss, here you go." So he'd be up for a little party. So he was a really cool boss.
Who were your dressing room buddies?
Mine initially was Ali Bastian, and then I was on my own.
Oh.
Yeah, I was with Michelle Austin, and then I was on my own. Because I was pregnant, I think they just thought, "We'll just leave her on her own."
I think I swapped, when Ali left, I swapped with Doug Rao, and he had a really cool one up near the makeup room, and he wanted mine further away, so we both on our own.
All right.
Well, I'm going to read out some names of just some of your co-stars, and I'd love to hear any favourite memories you have of them. You mentioned Doug Rao there.
Yeah.
What was he like to work with?
We adore Doug.
We do.
I think he's unique and funny. He has a brilliant brain. Yeah, my heart leapt really when he pitched up because he sort of raised my game a little bit, I think. He's got quite a theatre pedigree, and he and I used to do transitive verbs when we were doing the scene. So we would give each other a transitive verb and say, you've got to, try and use that, So, we were quite serious and focused and grown up, actually. And I thought my character worked well with him as well because his character was a bit cold, wasn't he? And my character was very straight talking, and she'd sort of bounce him out of that a lot, I think. And
he was quite sweet with Stevie, actually. That was quite nice.
Did you have a whole big storyline where
I
he's
don't know,
dying
I couldn't
always?
remember. Oh, he got stabbed in the neck with a contaminated needle, which made us all laugh for quite a long time. I don't know why. Did he have a little crushy thing on her? I don't know. When he was her handler, and then she ran off with the guy, the naughty criminal.
Bill Ward.
Yes. I found him to be sweet, and we used to sit in the car and sing, and so I'd quite often have him as my handler on stuff, and he's a lovely, funny, sweet man. He was one of our faves, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
It was Oliver who told me that you posted a picture on Instagram of you wearing Doug's stunt double's wig and a picture of him.
Because when the bill closed, there was kind of loads of stuff that didn't really go anywhere, and I said, can I have these wigs for like drama groups or whatever? We would put them on, wouldn't we? And we'd write together and do different characters. And when I was pregnant with my first child, we were at my house. We'd find whose wig was whose stunt double, and we did. That seemed like the first person we would take the wig out of.
Doug, yeah.
Because also he's handsome and his hair was always good. He always looked immaculate. So for this impression of his hair to be this funny little haircut was quite funny. And he didn't have much going on at the time.
And you can tease Doug. He would have loved it.
Chris Simmons, of course, was obviously on the podcast with you. What were your memories of working with Chris, Lucy?
We didn't do much together, but I think that our characters were quite similar. And and I think that's true in life. Chris and I, it was always a very easy friendship and relationship between Chris and I, and we're quite similar people, I suppose. And Chris is the easiest person to get on with. He's nice, he's interested and interesting. He wants to know about you. He remembers stuff about people's names. One of life's real.
And he doesn't take himself too seriously. No. And he's got sisters, which makes him gentle and lovely. And, don't know if he'd want me to say that, really. He's supposed to be all manly.
Yeah, but he makes people feel like they're the most important person in the room. He's definitely one of those great, not a raconteur, but those people that you kind of that are really good at being in a room.
Yeah, it's like from a different century.
Yeah. He would have been like one of the great hosts, out in America. He would have been one of those ladies in that new thing, what's it called? The Gilded Age. He would have been one of those famous American hosts in the Gilded Age.
Oh, yeah, he would, yeah.
Would have been very good at that.
And mentioned Andrew Lancel early on. You were both brilliant. You had a both brilliant comedic double act in that episode. I sent you both, where you're both at a gay club, and he goes chasing after a Kylie Minogue impersonator, and you're taking a picture on your phone.
Yeah. Well, I've known Andrew since I was quite young.
Was Andrew a child actor?
Well, no, I think I can't remember how old I was, but we were husband and wife in Dangerfield, and I remember feeling fairly young, and I don't know. He was obviously around since he was quite young. He's another one that can take quite a lot of Mickey taking out of him as well, can't he?
Great professional, Andrew.
Great professional, takes his acting very seriously, but he's got a very camp sense of humour.
See, now he's someone who had a baby while we were on the show.
Yeah, he was living away from home the whole time, wasn't he?
Yes.
He's a good guy, a really good guy. I mean, we're going to say that about everybody, but I mean, when you said his name, I did smile, because he's got a very dry wit, isn't he?
Yeah.
And very self-effacing sense of humour.
Yeah.
But also a great champion of actors, Andrew is.
I'm going to mention some more names. Bruce Byron, of course. I think the fans think that Joe and Terry are probably one of the most popular pairings on the bill. So what are your memories of working with Bruce?
Again, a grafter, hard worker, somebody who always knew it, always knew what he was doing, always knew what his character was about. Yeah.
Very stable personality, kind. You feel very safe in Bruce's company. Just another nice and interesting person, and funny. There was a lot of juvenile sense of humour in these very grown-up men, wasn't there?
Yes. We pulled
Which
it out.
Which is really
of them,
beguiling. Yeah.
Who's next?
Amita Deary.
Oh, lovely Amita.
Class act, Amita, yeah. Again, someone who was wrangling children at home and then coming in and, you know.
Was it her mum French?
Was
she brought up in Paris?
Yeah, her mum was Parisian and her dad is from India. So she was
so classy.
Classy, fascinating, talented.
Kind, gentle. Best excuses for being late I've ever heard in my life.
Sorry I'm late. I had to drive really slowly so I didn't run out of petrol. It's my favourite.
When Amita came in, we'd all stopped talking a little bit into the makeup room to see what she said today. Yeah, brilliant.
Patrick Robinson.
Oh, now I had worked with Patrick when I was a kid on Dodgem, I think maybe.
I'll Google it.
Anyway, it was 100 years ago, and he didn't look any different, and he was just a lovely, sexy, manly man with this air of just calm and laughter and kindness. He's a really good guy, Patrick. And he was, when I was a kid, he was exactly the same. He was just a kind, calming person. To be in his orbit is to just slow down and just feel supported and seen. He's a nice man.
Roberta Taylor.
I love Roberta. I've known her from EastEnders.
Oh, yes.
We had a shared sort of experience, and I just loved her sort of acerbic wit. And she was a very strong woman who didn't suffer fools gladly. And she also very, very talented actress who took her work very seriously.
You may end up interviewing all these people, so you don't need to hear our platitudes.
One of the stories I sent to you was Running Scared, which involved a very funny scene with you and both of you and the ferret. What are your memories of filming that scene?
Oh, God, that ferret scene. Do you remember the smell? It was a really hot day. We were in the outside interview rooms and the sun beating down and the lights, and it was so smelly. And she's not great with animals, generally holding them.
I had to pick it up. It's the first time I understood when people have weird phobias, like of buttons and things, or, you know, that no one can understand. It's like, why are you scared of that? When I had to pick that ferret up, I thought I'd pass out. And I remember just silent tears rolling down my face, just like, you know, and the guest actor stunk.
He stunk, but we channeled all of that into feeling sorry for him, didn't we? Because he was being so cool and brilliant about it, wasn't he?
It was a stupid storyline.
Yeah, and also we'd sort of said, why would we be holding it in the interview? But then I'd had horses, and I'm really farming.
In the interview.
It was in an interview room. It was bizarre. Something. There was a room that was hot, and we were across the table. Anyway, it just went on.
I have never in my life.
No offense to ferrets. I mean, the thing was quite sweet. It wasn't badly behaved. I've had horses, and I literally would have been a farmer. I live on an old farm now, and I'm like obsessed with it, with animals. So I don't know why I wasn't the one holding it. I was laughing too much at the
I remember walking down the corridor at work one day, and this producer was passing me. She went, "How do you feel about ferrets?" I went, "Pardon? How do you feel about ferrets?" I went, "In what sense?" She went, "Oh, this episode coming up about ferrets." And she sort of bounced off, and with hindsight, I should have gone, I don't want to do anything with it. But next minute, you know, you're busy doing other episodes, and the next minute you're on set, and this guy with his handlebar moustache
came
the ferret handler with these two cages, and I just remember thinking, I'm doomed. I'm absolutely doomed to reach into, and they just hang, like you hold them under their armpits, and they just hang.
I mean, talking of that, when I was a kid, I did a series with Johnny Morris. You remember Johnny Morris, Animal Magic, and Terry Nutkins, which never came out as a pilot, with Susan Hampshire played my mum, and it was at Windsor Safari Park before it was a roller coastery place. And I was there for 2 weeks, and I must have been 10, and and I went in with a rhino that we put to sleep to do a thing, and then we all had to push it, and then it got up, and the guy said, the zookeeper said, run when it wakes up. We ran out. I mean, me as a kid,
Health and safety
in the 80s. No, Winnie, I would go in with Winnie, the killer whale, and touch her and the dolphins. We went. There was an elephant that put its thing around me. There was we were in with everything. There was a monkey that weed on Johnny Morris's glasses.
Gross. My idea of hell.
Hang on, that's my husband with some coffee.
Who were your favourite guest actors to work with on the bill? Sally, of course, you had a terrific storyline with Pauline Quirk.
Well, yeah, now that's quite significant because, I remember her arriving and I hadn't told anybody that I was pregnant. And I sort of whispered it to Pauline on the first day of filming, and she really looked after me. Actually, hi, Steph. She really looked after me. And I went to her surprise 50th birthday in Mallorca. We became great pals. She's a legend, isn't she? Did you meet her when she was on set? Pauline Quirk.
Oh, I've met her on a cruise before. I've never met her in any other. But she's lovely. Totally down to earth straight away. Feel like you think, have I met you before? Because she's so friendly, like you're familiar with her.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Who's your favourite guest? You have no favourite guest, it's just me, your favourite.
God, there's so many brilliant ones.
What's the name of the guy in the lettuce?
Oh, Charlie.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bill Ward.
Yeah, and he was also in the episode of Afterlife I did. Nicest man. So nice. And, not so bad to kiss either. I had to kiss him. My husband's sitting over there. But he wasn't bad to kiss. Kissed well.
She's got some front.
No, really nice man. Really nice gentleman.
All right. Lucy's husband is traffic stoppingly handsome.
Yes,
so actually, all this is just bluster.
I was rewatching those scenes last night with that 3-part storyline, which was so brilliantly well done, and it must have been great to play that storyline of where Stevie's loyalties lay in that, and what was going on, the layers that were going on, and of course you rode a motorbike
they taught me to ride a motorbike
again.
Brilliant.
Health and safety.
And then I had to go and do the CBT test, and when the instructor went to me, go to 40 mile an hour, I was going up a hill because that's part of the test, you have to get up to 40 miles an hour. I was worried I was hanging on to lampposts and stuff like that because I'm too short. After I went up to 40 mile an hour, you have to do this with the thing to get the throttle up.
Yeah.
And you've got the throttle and that makes you go faster when you do that. I was coming off the motorbike with the wind was pushing me up and I was trying to do the throttle. I was really having trouble staying on it. Of course, I'm much heavier now. I'd stay on it quite well, but I was a wisp then, I tell you. They had to get me children's letters.
You mentioned the directors earlier on. Who are some of the directors that stand out most to you both?
Richard Signey.
Oh, you love Richard. He was lovely. Reza Maradi's one that stood out to me.
Reza.
He's one of my favourites.
Once there was me and a meter in a scene, and Reza went, "Here they are, mum's allowed." And it really made me laugh. It's a cheeky Scot.
One read through, he said, "Right, I want you all to tell me something you love about me, and then we'll start reading it." and it was always quite sort of acerbic and deadpan, so he'd act like he was a bit scary, but he wasn't. And like if you forgot your lines or the scene went wrong, he'd go, "Cut! Bloody hell!" Like he wouldn't hide that he was disappointed that it went wrong. And I said to him, "I love how you never fail to show your disappointment in me." And he went, "Correct." And that's how we started it.
Brilliant.
But Reza did the very last shot of the whole series, the big long one that went through and then went up onto the crane. He did that. All the directors just fell into line with all our comedy, didn't they?
But there was Nigel Douglas, brilliant brilliant. We were all quite focused when he came on.
He was great with stunts and stuff as well, wasn't he?
And he was great at those West Wing shots of us all coming down the corridor and down the corridor and down the corridor. And maybe I think I might have told Oliver this, but there was a scene where Scott Mazel and I started in custody. And just before action, I went, "Oh, custody, what a funny word. It sounds like you just covered in custard." And it had never even occurred to me. Custody. Oh, custody. So it had taken a few, let's go again. So you can appreciate by the time we got this one tracking shot all the way to the top, and then this poor young actor could not remember the line. It was agony. And for the first 5 times you go, worry about it. Don't worry. Come on, let's start again. And then thinking he's not going to get it because the pressure. And in the end, I think they had to sort of cut it so that, we did that, and then just dropped him in. But oh la la. But again, Nigel Douglas never lost his rag, never constant. And,
we had a lot of those shots where you'd go, oh God, the shot's so long. Please don't let me be the one to muck it up.
No, I know. And also, if you are in 3 episodes at one time and you're holding the lines in your head and you think, I'll be fine with this because they'll cut around it. And then you just hear those fatal words, we're going to do this in one. You just think, oh, really?
Eventually, in 2009, the bill moved into HD with, let's say, a reduced cast and a later time slot and definitely a more grittier tone. What do you both remember of those changes at that time?
Was all rushing out to see where we could get Botox and what we were going to do about our skin. Rushing straight to makeup. What will happen? Tell us what will happen.
She's joking.
We were all terrified that there was all sorts of. It's a bit like in '99 when they said planes would fall out the sky when it clicked over to 2000. The terror that was passed around about how awful HD would be and and how we'd all look terrible and blah, blah, blah. But it didn't. It just, like you said, I think it worked the bill. It was all grittier. And
I think if I'm honest, I'm most proud of my work in that year.
The 9 o'clock slot. Yeah, me too.
Because I think that the storylines became intense. The producers would take the characters that they thought could manage and maybe a more difficult storyline, and maybe those of us that survived embraced that.
But also there seemed like there was more time to really delve in, and there was more episodes that linked. There was more story arcs that crossed more than just one episode. Whereas previously they all had to be wrapped up in one episode, and it was very rare that there was a 2 or 3 episode story arc.
And of course we were shooting in London. They were all iconic shots of London behind it, so I think it looks amazing,
which is very expensive to do.
And we haven't mentioned your producers, Tim Key and Jonathan Young. What were they like to work with, and how much dialogue did they have with the cast?
Lucy had a good relationship with Tim. I mean, like a social relationship.
Tim Key was the one who would say, don't leave yet, you've got to have this shot before you go. He was brilliant. And Jonathan Young was always very sweet. In fact, I knew Jonathan Young when he was much further down the ladder, when he wasn't a producer at EastEnders, I think. So, that was weird because it was like seeing somebody grown up and in a grown-up job. But he was always really sweet when he was younger as well. Very kind and gently spoken man, actually.
I'm a bit embarrassed about Jonathan Young because I was literally on my stomach crawling, trying to frighten Chris Simmons, literally commando, like on my stomach like this, inching down the corridor. And then I just heard, hello. He
was always really classy, wasn't he?
And it was his first day in the building, and I just was like, hi. Like, I mean, what, how do you claw back from that? It was just, kind of mortifying. I just thought,
although knowing how him being a young sort of producer at Enders, he would have seen some stuff. So I suppose he probably just thought, that's normal.
Not my finest.
There goes an actor.
Yeah. I should have said I was researching a storyline. You see, not quick enough there. I could have really blagged my way out of that.
In 2009, the bill won the BAFTA for Best Continuing Drama, but the next year the series was cancelled. How did you both feel when you heard that the show was coming to an end, and what do you make of that decision now, looking back?
Well, we were devastated then, and I think we were all devastated now. It wasn't a great decision, but I think the decision was a financial one. for ITV rather than any reflection on the show. I know that they bought the football that year, didn't they? And that sort of skinted them, and it was a very expensive show to make with all the guest artists and shooting in London. So it was a shame. I don't know that it's one that they didn't regret. I know that Fremantle Made It certainly did regret it because it sold to lots of countries, but it was really sad because there was lots of people that worked there full time, and as I say, we were a family, so all of us would love to have those days back.
It was complicated, I think, for me on a personal level, because Lucy Classy rang me to let me know I was on holiday. I was in Geneva in a car, and she told me, and I hung up and I sobbed, and my ex said, "Are you devastated?" And I said, "I think I'm relieved." And I think I was just struggling to raise a child and to manage those hours.
If you don't get pushed, you'll never jump out.
It's hard to walk away from a great job, but by God, it's tough to be a mother and to do those hours. I mean, honestly, And looking back, before I did have a child, and looking at a meter coming in saying, "Sorry, I'm late," and I just think, because you couldn't prize yourself away from your girls.
Well, also sometimes it's just impossible, isn't it? Things happen with kids, and they don't care whether you've got to be out the room, out the house at whatever time, especially when they're young.
My God, and this is interesting. So there was one time when my then baby had got, is it called the rotavirus?
Something like that.
Anyway, a horrific sickness bug. And I didn't want to let them down in the morning, so I said, "I'm coming, I'm going to leave at lunchtime." And well, of course, people weren't happy about the fact that I was going to go home. And someone had a go at me. And then the next thing I heard was Alex Walkinshaw yelling at somebody, saying, "Don't you ever ask a mother to put her child before this job." And I literally, my heart stopped in my chest and that for me sums up the loyalty of those actors that we had.
We all had each other's back, didn't we? And we haven't mentioned Alex, but Alex was great like that. He was a real champion of the actors and the crew. I mean, everyone's wet name. I mean, Alex just knows everybody.
Yeah.
He was a very, very stable foundation of that show, I think.
But I think the industry will miss that job in terms of it was a stable for new writers, it trained up people on sets, it gave young actors an opportunity, and that's gone. And I'm not sure that's been replaced.
No, all actors, and I know the industry laments it every time I speak to another actor or someone. They go, "Oh God, I'm gutted the bill ended." It was really something that you would get auditions for, and I don't think it's been replaced at all. It should be, because I was thinking today they should do something like it where you get these crime writers to write episodes with the familiar policeman, and it hasn't. There is a gap. We go back, squeeze into the old jeans. I've still got them in the bottom of the wardrobe, innit?
I can solve crime in my sleep.
I can't wear heels anymore now. Doing me wellies.
And what does it mean to you both that your work on the bill is still being enjoyed and appreciated by many fans and many people who are still discovering the series for the first time?
Oh, it's lovely. I never mind people saying that they love it. I'm always really flattered, and a smile comes across my face because it's such good memories.
And I think it kind of connects you with the younger generation, because people will often say, "Oh my God, I used to watch the show with my mom or my gran," or you know what I mean. And because of course it was before it got hardcore, it was probably quite a safe show to put a kid in front of. So you'll often get younger people actually.
And what are for both of you, what are your ambitions for the future?
To stay alive.
I was just about to say that. Breathing in and out.
Not die of liver cirrhosis. Hang on to the cliff of life, Patrick.
I've been doing a bit of directing, which I really enjoy.
Lucy's a really talented director.
So hopefully a bit more of that. Thanks for that. I'm so glad I bought that kitchen knife to hold.
Yeah.
Just navel.
She's brilliant.
I think to enjoy life more, isn't it? spent all
we're
my
all sort
career
of hostages of this industry.
Yeah, I've spent all my career just trying to chase work, and it will come whether it comes or not. So I suppose just to really enjoy the moment in life is my ambition now. To enjoy the moment I'm in.
And I spoke to somebody yesterday, and she'd been to the Golden Globes, and she was very giddy because she wasn't nominated. She'd gone with somebody who was nominated, and I said to her, it's very hard to understand if you've not got a dog in the race, what that feels like, because it starts off as a room full of winners, and then as the night unravels, it's a room full of losers. And that's tough. And I think what we're trying to embrace is to understand that and not to be held
to enjoy other parts of life. We're all nuns to the theatre as young actors, and just to enjoy life, what we're doing it for. Work to live, not live to work.
Lucy just did a huge tour, and it's tough, right?
Yeah, it is at my age anyway.
It's just tough, and you're trying to be lots of things to lots of people. And my son's about to leave home, and so I might possibly do more theatre now.
Yeah, that's when to do it. I've got a 5-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 4. Sally's jealous. Yeah, Sally's an amazing writer, so she can do that sort of stuff and needs time to do that as well. And I think we're just entering a period into our lives, aren't we? And our relationship and our married life going forward. Well, we want to slow down a bit, Well, we have slowed down. We just want to enjoy the slowing down.
What is your message to fans of the Bill, fans of Joe Masters, fans of Stevie Moss? What is your message to them?
Just a big thank you, and hope you continue to enjoy it as it goes round and round and round and round. Never sort of fear telling us that you love it, because we loved it too. It's a nice memory, and thanks.
I mean, I would encourage people to feel what I feel if I ever see an old rerun, which is, how did that woman ever catch a baddie with more makeup than a drag queen, high boots and spray on jeans? Like, honestly, I look back, I just think, who were you going to catch with a face like that? I saw 2 detectives once arrest somebody on Harrow Road, and they were hard as nails and rough, and they looked like urchins rolling around in the dust trying to grapple this guy. And I was like, Joe Masters,
it was a testament to your acting ability
that I allowed people to believe that even though I was
this hand, you look like this. With the others, you sling on the handcuffs. That's why she is legend.
Yeah. Great characters, though. Good characters. That's all you ever need in writing, I think, is characters and plot.
And brought brilliantly to life by 2 legends.
Thank you.
Nothing further to say, but Sally Rogers, Lucy Speed, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Patrick. It's exciting, your new venture.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're brilliant.
And thank you so much for both agreeing to do this.
No problem.
Thank you for a lovely interview. That was a great trip down memory lane. Thank you so much.
Have you enjoyed it?
This interview?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, it'd be nice.
No, because this is the first professional sort of interview I've done for first sort of podcast, so it's been just trying to be mindful of everything and just making sure.
Well, if you were on Trustpilot, you'd get 5 stars.
You've been brilliant, and they'll be dead easy now, because doing 2 people is tricky, because we get a bit kind of cocky,
especially a couple of old turns like us.
It'll be easy from here on in, trust me.
Bless you both. Bless you.
Bless you.
And you, darling. Good luck to you.
We'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Good luck. Now. You're a superstar.
My huge thanks to Lucy and Sally for being such delightful company. I really could have chatted to them all day. You can hear more from me on the Bill Podcast Patreon channel, where my latest The Bill Obocast guest is Sarah Went from the Billiton. Next time on the Bill Podcast, Rob Cook presents the first of a 2-part MIT special with acclaimed actor Richard Hope. I'll be back again later in the year with a new podcast with another Sunhill legend from the later days of the Bill. Until then, thanks for listening, and bye for now.
This is Natalie Rolls, and you have been listening to the Bill Podcast, brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com. shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, gibconsultancy.co.uk, and mcr-seo.com. The Bill Podcast is produced by Oliver Crocker, co-produced by Glenn Allen, Glenn Cooney, Georgina Dark, Rebecca DeProse, Brian E. Kelly, Maz Mirabilis, Alex Mockler, and Simon Wolfe. Our executive producers are Isabel Allen, Mark Bennett, Rob Cook, James Crisall, Alana Dewar, Andrew Dyack, Dan Evans, George Fairbrother, Stuart Gibbon, Vicky Greatbanks, Luke Hegarty, Robert Hoger, Edward Kellett, James Ledane, Thomas Johnston, Gary Moncur, Danny Morris, Steph Morris, Laura Pinney-Fay, Isaac Powell, Alistair Wrigley, Michael Seeley, Andrew Sumner, Angel Stannard, Paul Statter, Patrick Stratford, Michael Weil, and Sarah Went. Huge thanks to all you lovely producers who make the Bill Podcast possible. For over 200 hours of bonus content, visit patreon.com/The Bill Podcast. Lost in Solway, the latest novel by George Fairbrother. One foggy night in the bleak January of 1943, with storm clouds and enemy bombers in the skies above them, life and death decisions confront many of Solway's home front heroes and villains. That night, Sylvia and Sydney, a pair of brave, hard-working young people, are brutally propelled into a strange and incomprehensible world, finding themselves on a remarkable, terrifying, and occasionally comical journey into the unknown. Lost in Solway, available on ebook and paperback from Amazon. Find out more on georgefairbrother.com.